Alrighty guys, welcome to week 4. Let's take a look. Let's head over to Learning Path. Here we go. Video will be right there. We're going to be doing toolbars and list views. Toolbars are going to allow you to have things fixed. Well, you'll see. It'll allow you to do navigation bars and such, and list views are a way that jQuery mobile will take lists, unordered lists, and ordered lists and style them and make them look really cool. So you need to create another mini website that needs to be at least 4 pages this time, using toolbars and list views and really anything else you've learned up to this point. We're only going to have a few more weeks where I teach you some new things, and then the rest of the quarter will be making a final. So start thinking of, the final mobile type website you want to build and what do you want it to be on, because that will be the final of the class, and you'll have a good 3 or 4 weeks to do that, just using everything that we've learned here. Okay, so you need a fixed header and footer. Okay, the footer needs to be an external fixed toolbar, which I'll show you what that means later. You're going to have a fixed navigation bar going across the top, so you're going to need to have a button that'll take you to each page in the site. Okay, you'll need to use UI button active and UI state persist. We'll show you what that does. Okay, and I'm going to have 2 different videos here. This one we'll talk about the toolbar stuff, and then the next video we'll go over the lists. So we'll go over the lists here in the next video. So here we are. Let me get this loaded. So just simple. We got our header, we got our footer. We have no content right now. We got all the jQuery mobile stuff being embedded. I didn't see any problems with using 2.0 in this one, so we should be okay if you're using 1 or 2. Okay, we got our first section, which is the first page. Then we have a second section for the second page, and of course you're going to need to do 2 more sections for the 4th page. Okay. All right, so right now, let's see here. If I come into the content here, and I start putting in content, I'm just going to copy and paste this a bunch. Okay, we'll save that. Of course, don't have spaces in there, so it's just running it. Here we go. Nah, it's going to be better if I go get some lorem ipsum. So basically what I'm trying to do is just get enough content in here so where I need to scroll, because I want to show you what happens when that happens. So come out here. I'm just going to Google lorem ipsum. There is a generator here. Come down here. I want to generate 2 paragraphs should be good. We'll generate them. So there it is, and I'll grab it here. Okay, so there's the header. Throw it in a p tag. P tag should probably end right there. And the p tag should start over here. Tab that over. Okay. Let's take a look at what we have. Of course, I did it on the second page. That's fine, because it needs to be on the second page anyways. So we will throw that in the first page as well. Bring that over. Okay. Shrink this down. Alrighty, so now you can see I can scroll, and you can see that the header is fixed. It's not moving, but the footer isn't. So we need to take a reason why. So the header is using an attribute called data position, and it's called fixed. All right, so that's what that does. If I were to remove that, save it, refresh here, you can see it's no longer fixed, it moves. So if you have things that you want to be positioned on your app the whole time, your mobile website, then you got to make sure that you use that. So I'm going to throw that in there for the header. I'm also going to throw it down here in the footer. So data position fixed. So if I refresh that, both of them are fixed, neither of them move as I scroll. Okay. And, you know, if you're going to have a navigation bar or something like that that's always there on the site, then you're going to want to do that. All right, so that's simple enough. Okay, first page. Now, what I did is I came in here and I threw in a link to the second page. And then I came down here and I got rid of the header and footer. So if I come to the second page here, there is no header and footer. Now, if I want to, sure, I could come in here, do what I've done here, have a footer tag, come down here, throw it in there, and just make sure the data role is footer. Or I could come in here and give it a header as well. But there's a way that you can do an external toolbar, is what it's called. And this allows you to basically make kind of like a global toolbar. So remember, if the way the jQuery mobile stuff does is the way it works is if I come out here and I come outside of these pages and I type stuff, it still doesn't show anything. Actually, you could see it there for like 0.2 seconds, but it's not there. It gets rid of it. The framework kicks it out. So if I wanted to make kind of global headers and global footers, I can do it. So what I do is I'm just going to grab this header and I'm going to pull it out. Okay, so now it's outside of the first page, and I'm going to do the same thing with the footer. Come here, cut it out, and put it outside. Okay, so now when I come back here and I refresh, okay, the header and the footer are gone. But if I want these to be applied to all the different pages, in other words, kind of be global header and footers, what I have to do is I come up here and I have to create a script. Okay, so I'm going to, right under all my script tags, I'm going to create another one. And it's a function, it's a jQuery function. Okay, so type it out here like this. Okay, close it out there with the semicolon. And the function is going to look for on the page anything that has a data role that is equal to header. And you have to use single quotes because we're inside of double quotes right now. So whenever you have quotes inside of double quotes, they need to be single. So if I have anything that says data role equals header, oh, I forgot these brackets here. Okay, or if I have anything that says data role of footer, I'm going to attach the toolbar function to it. And that'll basically convert whatever has the data role of header and whatever has the data role of footer, it'll convert them to toolbars. Okay. So it'll take these headers, this header and this footer, and it'll kind of convert them to these global external toolbars. So let's take a look. Okay, so now they're there and they're stuck, right? Because I have the data position fixed. And then if I head over to the second page, it's still there. So even though they're outside of page 1 and they're outside of page 2, I've attached them with this function that makes them basically global headers and footers. So for the assignment, I want you to do at least the footer should be external. But if you want to do both, that's fine. But the problem is if you have external navigation bars, we're going to run into some issues here in a minute that I'm going to show you. But if anything, you know how to do the fixed header and footer now, and you know how to do the external ones. All right, so now we're going to have a fixed navigation bar going across. All right, so for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to comment this out because I don't want to use it right now. And I'm going to grab these headers, or this header anyways, and I'm going to throw it back inside of page 1. Just because what I'm going to show you has some issues, I think, if you have them as global headers and footers. Okay. So head back to page 1. They're there now, but if I go to page 2, it's not. And that's fine, because what I'm going to show you can work basically anywhere. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, we can do this inside the header. You can kind of do it wherever, but it makes sense to me to do it inside the header here. Is I'm going to create a navbar. So I'm going to use the HTML5 semantic tag here for nav. And I'm going to give it a data role of navbar. So this is telling jQuery Mobile to treat this stuff as a navigation bar. Okay, and if you've ever done navigation bars before in HTML and CSS, you usually use an unordered list, and it's the same thing here. That's what jQuery Mobile is expecting. So the first list item is going to be, well, I can get rid of this, right? Or I can just cut this, because that's what I want. Because I want to have that link to the second page inside of there. Okay, and just for time's sakes, I'm going to copy and paste here. So you're going to have 4 pages for this, so you're probably going to need 4 different links. You got first page, second page, third page, 4 page, whatever. Okay, whatever you end up naming these. So let's take a look at what this does. Okay, so you can see that it just kind of automatically takes these links that I have and shoots them across inside the header, and they go across horizontally here. Now also you got to see that you got to name these well, because you don't have a ton of space. If you run out of space, it goes ... So, you know, like I said, just name them well, name them short and sweet. Okay, and if I click that, it works. You can also see when I click it, I'm holding right now, it does that little shadow, and then when I let go, it kind of goes blue for a few seconds. I don't know, or like a half a second. I don't know if you see that, but it's there. All right, so now if I want, I can, now basically I'll just go on the header of all my pages and I'll just copy and paste that, so all my pages will have this navigation bar. Okay, now there's some things I can do here with this if I want. I can say class equals I think I spelled that wrong. UI button. Okay, and then UI icon plus UI button icon top. Okay, so that puts a little plus icon. I don't know all the different icons there are, but there's a bunch, and you could find them on the jQuery mobile site, I'm sure. Just do a search for UI icon, and I'm sure you could find all the different ones. Okay, now I can go even further. I can say, because I'm on this page, I can say UI button active. And what that does is it will kind of highlight the button, giving people an idea of like what page I'm on. So I could say, you know, first here, let's just kind of name these in a better way. Okay. So when I say UI, where is it? UI button active, that's kind of like having it be, having a visual cue of what page you're on. Okay. So when I'm on the second page, I would take the second link right? And I would have the UI button active. And then when I'm on the third page, the third link would have UI button active, just to visually show what page you're on. Okay, now you can see when I clicked on it, and then when I went back, it's no longer active. That state of being active didn't persist or continue to the other pages. When I went to the second page and then came back, it's no longer active. It was just for that first time. So I go to the second page, come back, and it goes away. So there's another thing you can do called UI state persist. And what that does is it kind of makes it remember. So we shouldn't have that problem anymore. So I go back to the second page, I come back, okay, and it continues with that state. It remembers. Okay, now this stuff, the UI button active and the UI state persist, I didn't see it work very well when I use this as an external header. Okay, so we can test that real quick again. So I can pull that out. Okay, it's outside of the first page now. I can come back here and uncomment this. Okay, I'll kind of refresh. Maybe it'll work now. I don't know. Maybe I just typed it out wrong last time. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. So here I am on the first page. Here I'm on the second. Oh, I probably should change these, right? First page. Okay, that's fine. Now let's refresh that. Okay, so I'm on the second page. Yeah, and you can see when I go back to the first page, it doesn't really stay. It's kind of weird. It like goes there and then like refreshes and then it goes away. So that active, the state persist doesn't really work very well. So if you want the active and the state persist to work the way they should, you want to make sure that this header is inside each page. So this whole external global doesn't really work. And that's why I said the footer at least should be external, because the footer shouldn't have any links or anything in it. I mean, you can put them in there, but if you want the state to persist and the button active to work, then you want to have them in there. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do for now, just so I can move on. Just kind of interesting to see all the different nuances of this framework. Okay, so now it's in there. Refresh, goes to the second page. Okay, it's no longer global. So I would just want to come over here, take this header, right, and then just kind of paste it right into this second page. Okay, go to the second page, it's there. Go to the first. Then of course on the second page I would want to come over here and take the UI button active and the UI state persist, and I would want to throw that in here. I think you gotta have UI button in there. Okay, so first page stays active, second page stays active as I go back and forth. Okay, kind of a cool little thing that it has in there. A couple other icons that exist. Just show you here. I'm going to copy this because it's going to be similar. Didn't get the quote there. So there's plus. Let's see, I think there's grid. What else do I have here? Let's see, grid, check. maybe not grid. Did I spell it wrong? I said grid. All right, so that could be like a calendar or something, or maybe to see a bunch of pictures. You got the plus, you have the check. I think there's a minus. There's a bunch of them. You can look them up, but if you want to have the icons there, you can. And then, of course, you can control where they are. I have UI button top. I could have UI button bottom or left, whatever I want to do there. But whatever you do to them, you want to do to all of them if you use this, since now the buttons are kind of different like heights and it looks weird. Okay. Okay, I think that's about it, right? So fixed header and footer, one of them should be external. Yep, fixed navigation bar with at least one icon in it that takes me to the different pages. So this is going to be your navigation bar basically for the little mini website this week and for next week. Okay, make sure that you use the button active and state persist. So to get those to work, you got to make sure that the nav bar is inside of each page. So you'll probably want to just have the footer be universal. Okay, have the footer be universal, have that outside of the page. Here, I'll just show you how to do that. So we can throw it outside of the page here. And then all we got to do is come up here and change this to be, just get rid of the header. So all we're going to do is anything with the data role of footer, attach the toolbar function to it. And then that should work. Yeah, the footer's still there. Go to the second page. Footer's still there. Active is working, and the persist is working. So, yeah, just apply that to the footer, and yeah, and everything will be good there on the external one. Okay, and that's it. All right, so that's for the toolbars. That's for the navigation bar. And the footer and the headers. Make sure you get those going. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will move on. Well, when you have time, move on to the list views video. That's going to come next. See ya.